Welcome back to another episode of the Work and Travel series. And basically, today we're going to be talking about some mistakes that I made on Work and Travel. So, if you're interested in hearing those mistakes and how you cannot make those mistakes, just keep on watching. And don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Okay, so the very first mistake that I made, or let me just tell you how it goes. But basically, the first mistake that I made on Work and Travel was not paying enough attention to the fact that they drive on the right side of the road, right? So basically, when I did go there, and obviously, I realized that them drive on the right side of the road, right? And remember when the person picked me up on the airport, it did feel weird for them on the right side of the road, right? But that's not where the complication come in. The complication comes in when, for example, because where I was in a small town, and in that small town, everything was basically walking distance, right? So you mean you just walk, you have to walk wherever, right? But even though everything is walking distance, obviously you have like intersections, and you also have like stoplight, like stoplight, right? So what basically happened is, whenever me cross at let me tell you about the intersection first. Whenever me cross at an intersection, right, we know it's like a 3-way or 4-way, as in the road, as in road there, so road there, so road there, so and road there, so, right? And for example, me I try cross, but it's like me have to pay attention to the car. We come from 4 different directions. You understand what I mean? So there was an intersection like that. I mean, not telling you, like, my brain was bamboozled, because in the moment me I try to say okay, and you see, because in my head the natural orientation in my mind, I said the car upon the left. So me literally, whenever I did across like one intersection like that with a 4-way, me literally over there, and me have to say to myself, say the car go upon the right. That me literally, because as I said before, it's not just one direction me have to watch the car them from, it's basically 4 directions, right? Me have to watch the car them from. So it's that me literally, if you hold up my hand and say you are going upon the side there, you would have the over, you know what I'm saying? Like you would have the yes, you understand? So it's that my brain sometimes completely mess up, because it's like in your head you expect the car to be on the left. But because you have to mentally force yourself to realize, say, the car go up on the right when it's a turn. Right? So now, sometimes I cross the road, and this is a serious story. When I cross the road, as much as I made a try orient, say, alright, you might go up on the right over this one. The right, the over here, so. You understand? So it's like, me did me say, be completely confused. And basically, long story short, we nearly get hit by a car, like serious something. As in, because I expect him, I don't know how I miscalculate it, but him depend the right. And then, me expect him for the yes and him the yes. So it's like him basically let me down, right? And it's like my brain, me just get flustered, and me just over this right now. And that was basically why I did hate crossing the road over there, because especially at an intersection we are 4-way, my brain basically cannot manage. My brain just completely cannot manage it. Me not have the coordination. If you coordinate how the right go for every car. If you coordinate, say you're right there, so, and then you're right there, so, and then you're right, it says like my brain completely mess up when you watch car from 4 different directions in order to cross the road, right? So that was it. Me did obviously hate it. So do not make that mistake as me, and I almost get hit by a car. And you know what? And even one time, I'm more than one time. Not even like more than one time. And basically that particular that particular intersection, it never have no stoplight, right? That is why I nearly get hit by a car so much time, because there is no stoplight right there. So now there's another place in the town I did there that actually have a stoplight. Now me get, basically that one was a lot easier, because the little pole them you can press the button if you want to cross, that one it actually have that. If you are cross, you have to say it a little bit better. But you see, like early mornings, I realize say that stoplight don't work. As in, when we go work like early, when we used to go work early at like 5 o'clock, when we walk there, it's literally, it's like it is red. It is a red, right? So you basically not start work, you don't work in a them the hours then. But if me across in the middle of the day, then me realize say, oh, green, orange, yellow, everything come on panny, right? So do not make that mistake, and do not to get hit by a car. Go there with the mental realization, so them drive on the right. So if you go to a small town and if you are across one intersection that does not have a stop sign, a stop light, be very careful, because you literally mess up yourself. Because if you are watching the car, especially if it's a four-way, like in a my situation, in my class with a four-way, me have to try watch the car them from 4 different directions. My brain couldn't do it. My brain just absolutely couldn't do it. Because you don't know what to expect. Cause you literally, I'm tell you how bad it was. Do want me to after I use my hand to see which part the right day. That is called me just get flustered. Whenever I'm cross the road at an intersection that don't have a stoplight, me say me literally me get flustered. Literally if I hold up my hand and I say the right over there so, the right there yes so, and me just did mess up. So that is one thing that you have to be aware of when you go to America. The next thing, or the next mistake that I made when I went on work and travel for the very first time, is not knowing the sense, not knowing the money. Now, knowing the money is very, very, very important, because especially if you're going to be working in like a cashier job, right? Because we know people who go on work and job 3-4 times, and if you ask them how much sense in their hand, they can't tell them how much sense they have, right? Now in my situation, because I was going there to work as a cashier, so if you get chosen, if you get picked or you get a job offer for work as a cashier, you're gonna learn the sense them. So me don't know what me that expect when me go there the first time, but me honestly me don't know. Me just never, alright, me did things say the big old one, like 1 cent with a big pan of money, 5 cents with a big pan of money, I mean easily could have tell. But when me go there, and the biggest hardest thing for me to learn about the cents was actually between the nickel and the quarter. Like, because you know you're not used to it, right? And to me, when I got here at first, I say, okay, the nickel is the one with the man on the left. That means to say, you know, the man on the left on the nickel. And then me get 1 nickel and then I say, wait there. And then I get 1 quarter and I say, wait there, the man on the left on the quarter too. So how am I going to tell them different? And then eventually over time, you see, the more you use them, you learn it, and then I realize that, oh, the quarter actually bigger than the nickel all this time. I never realized. But basically, know your money, know US currency before you go there, so people don't rob you. And if you got a store and them say, oh, just give them 30 more cents, right? They probably not a change or something, and then say, oh, give me 30 more cents. You must can't count to 30 cents to get the people. You can't tell them, so, oh, you don't know how much 30 cents be, right? So try to learn the money. Go on YouTube, look on the money, and look, you know, look on the money. Go on Google the sense them, and try to learn the money basically, right? Okay, so the next mistake, or this is not even a mistake, but when you're going on work and travel, let me just say this. Me personally is not a person who engage in a small talk. Like, me not like to chat about rubbish. You see, if me go talk to somebody, we need to chat about sense. You understand? The conversation have to make some sense, right? So now Americans like small talk. Then we talk about the weather, then we talk about things that just completely irrelevant, to be honest, right? Now the mistake that I made, being the person that I am, and me not like small talk, so me not just want to talk about the weather for no reason. There has to be a reason behind how we talk about the weather. You understand? Something have to be really significant. But when we go there and realize, say, oh, an American will just randomly literally randomly walk up to you and be like, hey, it's really hot today, or when you like they would say, oh, we're up in the 80s today, or something like that, right? Randomly, no special reason, unless I tell you that the place hot. And me being me, not liking small talk, like that is just weird for me. I never really engage in a small talk. But then after being there for a while, realize that is just how Americans are. Them like small talk, then when you talk back to them, so sometimes you will have a conversation with somebody and the conversation don't make 1 sense. You understand? You probably talk about the weather, or you just talk about something completely irrelevant. But when you're going there, you have to be open-minded. You understand? So if you see them and talk about something that doesn't even make sense, just talk to them about it. You understand? So you probably not really like small talk, and you know, talk about weather for no reason, because you literally have a whole conversation about the weather. Say, oh, it's hot today, it's cold today, so this and blah blah blah, for no apparent reason. But you just have to be okay with that. So For me, that was one mistake that I made, not engaging in the small talk, because when I got years there, when somebody just walked to me and randomly asked me about the weather, when I respond to that, why we talk about the weather? Like randomly, I mean, why we talk about the weather, just randomly. So you have to be okay with that, and just know that Americans are friendly people. Majority of them, even when them not realize that them friendly. Like me will say to when I work there, I say to one of my coworkers, them, I think Americans way more friendly. Or when them not like you, or when them not like you, they can't stand you, them still gonna be friendly, because it's just the culture. It's just the culture. So it's like just go along with the culture. You don't even ask no question. Just go along with the culture. For the next thing or the next mistake that I made, but this mistake for me make is me never know no better still. So when me go there and somebody walk up to you and say, how are you? You don't feel like so them actually ask you how are you. Them not ask you how are you, right? So this step me a good. Me feel like say it took me like a couple weeks to realize when people ask how are you, them not really mean that. As we said before, Americans are friendly people, even if them not realize that them very friendly. The culture is friendly, at least majority of them. The one them when have them issues, majority of them really friendly. And when an American walk up to you and say, how are you? Them not ask you for your life story, right? And in Jamaica, when somebody say, what happened to you? Or somebody walk up to you and say, what happened to you? What going for you? You understand? That means they tell you whole life story, right? So for example, if something really bother you, they may expect you to say it in a Jamaica, right? When I go there and somebody say to you, how are you? How are you doing? Or what's wrong? They don't really want the answer. Like, I remember the first time somebody asked me, I think maybe within the first week when I start work, for the very first time I got there, and somebody asked me, how are you? And maybe no more I'm responsible. The point is that I tell them a lot more than within the actor says. That me I say, like mother say, oh, I'm not feeling well, or I don't know what I tell them, say, or whatever. But the point is that they never really care. Them just say, how are you, to be polite. And then you see the reaction when I tell them, the person just, it's why they're uninterested, so they realize, oh, they never mean it. And then as I start to observe different conversations between other Americans, and when somebody walks in and they say, hey, how are you? And then they say, oh, and then they will say, good. And then sometimes, and what's so funny about it, and I feel like some of them do not realize it, is when I come there, they come by the cashier when I work there, and it's like the person say, how are you? And them literally to me, and them respond, say good, as in them ask the question and them answer it all in one, and I realize them answer it. So it's like, because usually usually them say how are you, you say good, and then basically them say good, right? So like me say how are you, and say good, and they say good, the conversation done, right? You done right this so until me go there and she said how are you, and she answered the question before we up in my mouth and say good. So me say, because I understand what I want now. It's just the culture, right? It's just this culture. It's just the culture, and you're nothing too hard about it. There's nothing behind it. But just learn this. Learn this. When an American says you, how are you? Especially if somebody we gonna really know like that, and them say how are you? Just tell them good. That's the answer. The number one answer is good. Now, if you're more friendly with somebody, or maybe you know this person for a long time, or more personal, and them say how are you, and like them really concerned, and they can tell them if something wrong with you. But other than that, the answer is good. Don't go to them and tell them a life story, tell a life problem. They don't mean it. You understand? They don't really ask you how are you. Them just have to say it to be polite. So just learn that from my mistake. Them not asking you for your life story. Them not asking you what is actually wrong. Them just be polite. Overall, just know that Americans are friendly people. And basically, this was a short video of some of the mistakes that I made, or things that I basically learned from. Obviously, learning the currency, learning what how are you actually means in America. As I said before, Americans, they're really friendly. Don't get hit by a car. Please pay attention to the fact that them drive on the right side of the road, so you don't put yourself in a problem when you're over there. And overall, just be friendly, engage in small talk. You're not gonna kill you. You might not like small talk, but just talk to them. It don't matter. It's just the culture. So you just work with them. You're in them country, just work with them, just do what them do, and that's it. So anyways, these are just some mistakes that I made, or basically things that I learned from when I was on work and travel about Americans. Anyways, yeah, this is the end of today's video. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe.